Hail and welcome to today's edition of the Magical Human Show, which is in celebration of the blue little micro Hawthorn Sagittarius full moon that is happening tomorrow on Sunday, the 31st of May.
At
Um,
8:46 a.m.,
Yay! I'm
apparently.
Tony Witch, and this is my fellow traveler, time traveler, June.
Hello.
So, hi everyone. I don't know about you, June, but the micro moon, this blue moon, and let's just explain what a blue moon is. Do you want to try first and I'll fill in the gaps, or do you want me to go
Sure,
first?
as far as I'm aware, it's the second full moon in a month, and it doesn't happen that often.
Every two
Um,
to 3 years.
yeah, but apparently the blue micro moon isn't going to happen until 2053 or so, I
Well, this
heard.
is the last one you and I will see then.
Yeah, maybe. Depends on how
Maybe.
old we're
Well,
going
I
to
might
get.
still be. I might, yeah. I don't want to be cryogenically frozen and re-brought.
No
That's why
way.
I'm
No
going.
way.
I'm going.
No.
Um, so the blue moons, they happen every 2 to 3 years because the calendar is not 28 days per month. So they are a result of our disenfranchise with the moon cycles created by was it the Augustine the Augustine calendar? I can't remember, one of the popes anyway that decided to
Yeah.
up a different time zone or date zone. And it's interesting. And what a blue moon can do, just so you're aware, is it can intensify the energies of the existing moon phase. So, what can happen because we've got Sagittarius, which is all about truth and freedom and spirituality and following your heart and the arrow. So it's like going on quests, heart quest, journeying. You've got that in Hawthorn, which is Whitethorn, which is heart medicine, which is ruled by Mars. So this is Mars is the ruler of Aries. So you've got the kind of warrior aspect. And if you think of certainly my tarot, the knight card is a knight going on a quest, a Sagittarian knight going on a quest, and in a very fiery background. And I would say this is what this moon feels like. It feels quite confronting. It feels, I mean, Uranus is Gemini at the moment, so you've got confrontation anyway of like sudden eureka moments and truth being laid bare. But it's kind of like there's no place left to hide under this full moon. There's no ability to just keep repeating karmic loops that you've grown out of. So expect yourself to feel just like done with a lot of things, I think. So on the emotional heart front is what I'm saying. So that may be a job. It may be a house, it may be a friend, it may be a relationship. But it's expect that, I would say. Would you agree, June?
Yes, and I find I keep blurting things out
Yeah,
even more
true.
than usual.
Yeah,
Just like,
absolutely.
whoa.
Telling people what you really think.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And that's happening to a lot of people. And Sagittarians aren't always very eloquent when they share their information. You've got Mercury in Gemini at the moment as well. So Mercury is in his home zodiac. So communication is more available than it usually is when Mercury is in Gemini. But with the Sagittarian aspect, you've got that kind of bluntness, directness, straightforward, not messing around. You're really annoying. I don't want to do this job anymore. This relationship's over. It's all kind of, coming out in a very kind of direct fashion.
Yeah. Yeah. Monosyllabic answers and things like that. Oh, yeah. Well, it's been an interesting few days, what with the technology and whatnot as well. I mean, I think that this is, trying to communicate this morning was extremely difficult because I feel like we're being channeled into a particular mode of communication that we don't seem to have a lot of choice again, which
I don't, well,
always annoys me.
well, yeah, and I get that. Because choice, we have the illusion of choice, but actually everything is set up to, as you say, corral us into accountable systems and frameworks, etc. And
Yeah.
it is incredibly, well, it can be frustrating if you're in your situation and trying to step out of all of that, and then finding that, you step out, you can't get back in. Like, once you're out, you're out. You got an X on your door, and that is it. And that is such an interesting discussion to have, actually, because
Mm.
you've really chosen to step out, and I'm still in. And so, that made it very difficult for us to communicate today. Um, and I'm wondering how much that's happening everywhere else. Do you want to explain briefly why you've stepped out?
Well, yes, I have become acutely aware over the last few years of the way that certain major corporations are kind of managing everything to their benefit and not for ours. I mean, we kind of knew this already, but it's become really more obvious. And so I saw an opportunity to get a new laptop that has no Google and no Microsoft in it. And it's all run on Linux, which is a whole new system, which it's similar, but
It is.
with enough knowledge and perseverance, you can and help and support from the lovely guys at Reboot Privacy. I will highly recommend them. If anybody wants to inquire, they sell these renovated, very good quality laptops and phones for people that are certainly, you know, really up to standard. If people want good quality. Mine's a Lenovo, which is well known to be a good brand. So yeah, I mean, I'm just still working out the kind of characteristics of it. And it's great because it does not give away your data to anybody. So, this is the problem. Our data, people will say, oh, they've already got all our data. Well, I am concerned about my people's data that I've got. And I'm going around now closing down accounts and saying, can you please erase my data?
Mm.
Because we're allowed to do that. I have a
We are.
link to a template that I'm going to send to various organizations that I don't want to be connected to anymore. But they still have your data, obviously. So this is the thing. And when we say data, we mean your personal information, your phone number, your address, your even to your bank accounts. It can go to that point of view. And then of course for me, it's all my patients' information. I've got patients' phone numbers and emails
I
that
don't have any
are,
of that. I keep it all on paper.
you don't have people in your phone?
But that no one would know who they are. There's nothing like against that. It's just their name. Doesn't say client, patient. It's just,
No, but they're still harvesting that data. If
but
it's
because all
their
my
full
work,
name, they can link it to
well,
things.
yeah, and they may, but
Mm.
I sit on the other side where I'm like, what are you going to do with it? I mean, the only irritating thing I find
They
is
sell
the,
it, darling. They sell it for
yeah, but they
money. That's
can
what
sell
they
it.
do.
Yeah, good. Sell it. But they sell it and then they advertise to us. That's the irritating thing, is
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
constant kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
um
Yeah.
curation of
Yeah.
information. You just have to say out loud you want something, and your phone is showing you 50 adverts for where you
Yeah,
can get it.
yeah,
And we're
yeah,
being
yeah.
listened to, and I'm not a naive fool to imagine that we're not. We're probably being cloned, right now. And there's probably a clone of
The
you and me
AI
somewhere
bots.
running an
Yeah.
AI chat show called the Magical Computer Show. So, there is all of this stuff,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
it's kind of like I simply don't care. I don't have the bandwidth, and I totally respect why people do it, but I just don't, yeah. There's so many other things I care about. I don't have, yeah, I literally, it's bandwidth. And what I've discovered this week, well, not discovered, but being discussing this week is along the lines of the controliarchy that we live in. And it was
Controliarchy. I love that.
the controliarchy, because it's the elite. And more people are becoming aware of this, control by a very small minority of people who
Mm,
are basically creaming the energy, the resources of for the rest of us. And that's why we have such a disparate in kind of qualities of existence, because there's some people that are, but the funny thing
mm,
is about those people, everybody, is they're not actually very happy. So while they're doing all their kind of, extraction, they still haven't kind of worked out the fundamental principles of spirituality. So there's something lacking. But I digress. What this was I talk a lot about Dirty Business, that Channel 4 program about the waterways and how the environmental agency employees go and work for the water companies, and the water company employees go and work for the environmental agency, and everyone's in bed with each other. Then
yep.
someone I know that is close to me got a job in a council as a landscape architect, and they took the job because they do a lot of work for landscaping around new developments, and they thought it would be interesting to go onto the other side of things because actually they'd really like to help out and make sure when these new developments happen, the landscaping is actually good as opposed to a tokenistic mess, which it often is. Like, I remember a story this person told me years ago about the dormice population in this particular area, which were protected, and the builders were told not to remove, the developers, not to remove this swathe of woodland for the dormouse, and they did it anyway. And they said, "Oh, whoops, we'll just pay a fine." And that happens all the time.
Yeah.
And so anyway, this person came across this development that had been in like toing and froing for 15 years. And there was a piece, it was the worst one of this particular council that hadn't been closed. And there was a piece of wetland that hadn't been accessible to the people that lived on this for 4 years. And they were going up in arms. They were threatening to sue the council because, why wouldn't you? This is in your back garden. You're not able to use it. It's like one of the resources you've been sold when you moved to the area, the development that, you're going to have this lovely natural wetland.
Yeah.
So this person gave permission for this to be opened and gave the developer a very short period of time to do it. Well, the developer went up in arms, threatened legal, and said, "I'm supposed to have, a lot more time than this, all this kind of stuff." This person spent some time calming things down, but then realized that the developer was 75% owned by the council. So what had been happening was the council had been fining the developer who had been paying back the council. So the money was just literally going backwards and forwards, balance sheets here, there, and everywhere being used with the same money, which is basically money laundering.
Yep.
And the fact is, this is not new. This is how the civil service works in this country. And I guess my irritation this week is, in fact, there's a few things I could talk about with this, is the fact that people are going on and on and on about the prime minister and the leaders of the parties and going, "Oh, we hate them, they're this, they're that." They are the figureheads
A
of,
waste of energy.
yeah,
Total waste.
but not only a waste of energy, June, they're the figureheads. They
Yeah.
themselves are told,
Yeah.
given access to information by the mandarins underneath, which choose.
Mm,
Now, the civil servants are not elected. They
mm.
get into these positions. In fact, another person told me this week when this was all coming like into my consciousness, how they had been told not to proactively go after work. They work for the council, they must wait until work finds them. Don't give yourself extra work to do. Now,
Huh.
and that kind of attitude and these people that have these fiefdoms of power that they hold on to for donkey's years. I mean, you look at Brighton and Hove City Council, the Brighton's a mess because the fiefdoms decided they wanted to turn it more into a dormitory town rather than carrying on protecting the tourism industry, which is the lifeblood of the city. If you don't have toilets, clean streets, and something to welcome your tourists, you're just not going to have an economy. But they imagined that they would. So, there's been a slow degrading, and so you've got that going on. Then you've got all of the lack of infrastructure since the 50s, 80s, the privatization aspect, which took all the money off to the fat cats through shares. So none of the public services got any of the infrastructure they needed. So that's why they're all crumbling. And the people that have got rich off the back of those shares are living in these huge houses quite comfortably with great sewers, working, not having to worry about living next to developments that are not going to function properly. The sewers can't take the sewage. The water
Hmm.
companies can't really survive, and yet everyone's just the problem just never gets sorted. It's like
Hmm.
literally playing that party game of people running around in a minute, like find a chair, it's like
Hmm.
the music plays, everyone jumps back on a chair, but the same players are at the party, it's the same song, and nothing's getting any better. And
Hmm.
yet a chair gets taken away in the form of infrastructure. So we're down to next to nothing. And yet
Hmm.
we have all this illegal immigration going on, people coming over here being given money from where? A system that has no money to give. So Peter's still borrowing from Paul all over the place. So I'll stop now because then I want to go on to talking about reform, conservative, Labour, and the names, what they mean.
Oh, names interesting. Um, Back to the note taking for patients. I think that's what has come into my awareness just recently is that they've done studies for people who actually write
Oh my
by
God, yeah.
hand.
Yeah.
It
Brain.
involves more brain
Yeah.
activity, hand-eye coordination, all
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So those of us, like you and I, who write our patient notes all by hand, is much better for us
But
and
that's
for
what
the security as well, because, you know,
Absolutely, but they're dumbing down our young people by making everything on screens and by
yes.
making everything we I was slamming the doctor's surgery the other day as well because you have to go online to make an appointment to be triaged on a phone call or an online appointment before you can see a person.
Mm,
Everything has been so put onto technology and away
mm,
from the hand-eye thing. It's giving this immediacy that's overwhelming because there's constant communication. You're being
yeah.
bombarded 24/7, which is why I can understand the appeal of stepping out. Because if your data's not being sold, they're not going to know what you're interested in. So they're just going to leave you alone. Totally get that. When my children were,
Well, the other thing is that Palantir, the company that has now got all the NHS data, is a very shady. If people want to look into that and give themselves nightmares, I mean, I think we need to look at it with one eye and then go, and we are still creating our own happy existence. Simplify, simplify, simplify. Get back in touch with the earth. Do your connection to the moons, the cycles, making sure that you're connected to real human beings on the ground. And even if you are short with them sometimes, the true friends will understand. And it will also be being short as well. But the thing is, we can't, yeah, I mean, I'm delighted I'm not in the NHS anymore. I'm just not. They don't bother me about anything. And I get my health care from alternative sources. Now, I'm not saying everybody should do that, but I am really delighted that I am not on their lists and they don't know anything about my health and well-being because I wouldn't hand my health over to anybody except a person on the ground who I know and trust. Well, and
well,
you, and you.
and me. Yes, the NHS is an interesting one. I do
Mm,
use the NHS. I use it for operations and investigations, scans, things I want checked out, and I've always maintained that. Not that the scans that I've ever had have actually been very revealing. It's taken the cutting open for people to recognize what I've been saying, but it's kind of
hmm.
like I'm informed, so I use it. I make the most of it. I don't use it very often. I use it maybe once every 3 or 4 years for something that I need, and then that's it. And I'm a fan of, yes, alternative practice wherever possible, and also root cause. Why?
Mm, mm.
And for some minor things, you can really, lots of minor ailments, loads of things you can cure naturally.
And help prevent them from becoming major as well.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah,
Proper prevention.
well, absolutely. And, community is important. I've got my circle in a few hours. I'm running events. You're running events. It's like, we're very much connected to people and providing space for people to come and feel part of a community. And I feel that that is growing in its kudos and in its, acceptability. More and more people are recognizing the value in coming along and meditating in the fact that finding their own answers, getting
Mm,
healing that way. Like, then quite incredible how people will turn up in pain and leave pain free. and lastingly pain-free. And,
Mm.
showing people that it's a multi-dimensional world. I mean, yesterday I
Mm.
was working with someone through grief. One of their parents is just at that tipping point where they're about to completely leave. They've almost completely gone. And so what I said to this person was, would you like to go forward? Shall we hypnotize you and go forward so that you can speak to that soul in the above and in the below? Because we have connection with both level. The person's still here in the below, so we can go down into the earth and we can speak to them above. And it was incredibly healing because it gave that person, which is what they came to for me, was that ability to find the strength within themselves to meet this next part in the way they wanted to meet it. So there was a kind of awareness of just not wanting to let it all happen, but wanting to kind of, be conscious, and recognizing that it wasn't an ending. It was just a difference. It was a metamorphosis of the relationship. And it's that. And the more people, the person that came, you would never imagine this person had an understanding of all these different layers and the fact that time is not linear. But that, you and I come across people like that all the time. Now, I want to take it back into names because
Aha.
um, I was having an educated discussion with someone and they were horrified, as I'm sure you will be as well, that I voted reform. And they were saying, I can't believe you voted reform. That's racist. And I was like, I'm not a racist. I said, let's look at the name, reform. I said, everything is a spell. And apparently there's another party that I'd like to draw everyone's attention to called, have you heard of it? It's in the north. It won all of its 10 seats that it got put up to. It's not reform. It begins with R as well. It's got a nice name,
Sure.
Restore. So you've got these names,
Sounds very healing.
exactly, restoring, reforming, like change. Now, what's happened with that is it is being tarred with the racism brush by the BBC, by the general media. It's like anyone that does that must be a racist. Why? To incite kind of,
Division,
yes.
division,
And,
always. Yeah, yeah.
always new things attract fringe anarchists who possibly are racist. All groups, like there are these minority
Whoa,
groups.
whoa, 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 whoa. Real true anarchy is actual self-responsibility.
Okay, not
So,
that,
no,
not
troublemakers.
that.
You mean troublemakers.
I'm talking about culty kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
people
yeah.
that
No.
are kind of
Mhm,
it on
mhm.
the surface look like they might be talking sense, but actually have got into it for darker reasons than
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
this belief that someone is less worthy on you because of a biological difference of skin color is
yeah,
absolutely just the most twisted story
yeah,
you can tell yourself.
yeah.
There is no. So we it was quite interesting because then I thought, right, okay, let's look at the names. Labour, hard work. And I just thought that's interesting. So you're voting for hard work. Conservative, you're voting for not taking any risks. Basically trying to keep everything safe, but basically keeping everything boring and non-really development. Liberal, you've got no boundaries. You're just like, whoa, anything goes, which I've always voted liberal, actually. I'm a natural liberal. Um, and I am like that, open-minded and stuff like that's in my palm. In fact, let's look at the palms, right? June. Gap between heart line and headline. Have you got a nice gap in between those two lines?
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Yes. So I've got a really big one compared to most people. This
Mm-hmm.
depth means extremely open-minded and tolerant. So when you see a hand where there's a really tiny gap between the heart line and the headline, which is this one, you
Mm-hmm.
know that person is really intolerant and really judgmental. Interesting. The hands give away everything.
Interesting.
They are the maps of the personality. So,
Interesting.
yeah, so I just thought it was interesting because as you were saying, like we were talking about the elite, this is like a nice loop round. There's all this distortion encouraged in us. We are the cattle that are being farmed. for our energy, for our resources, everything for a very small minority. And
Mm.
their intention is always to create distortion and what did you call it? Polarity,
Division.
division
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
between
yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
And it's not okay. It's really, really
No, it
not
isn't.
okay.
And I'm not going to judge you for whatever you choose to do, because I'm not liberal. However,
Well, but I want a more than a two-party system. We've had over 50 years of a two-party system.
oh, 100,
Just
honey.
yes.
100, but there's been forays into it with the Lib Dems and the but we're being manipulated. You can
Oh
see
my
it as
God.
plain as the nose on your face. We're being manipulated into something that I'm not entirely sure what it's their intention is to make it look like. But this is my thing. I'm now going, I'm not playing.
Yeah.
I am not playing. I go in and I vote none of these assholes. None. I don't want, because I want that recorded. And I know there are people who are
Will they
withdrawing.
record that though? I don't think they do. They
Yes,
just
they are.
no.
Spoiled ballots are recorded.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. But they never
They,
talk about it.
no,
They
of course
never
they don't.
say
Of
we
course
had
they don't. No.
20% of this constituency was spoiled. Did you know, Gary was telling me this, that basically the Labour Party is been using false candidates on the ballot sheets for donkey's years. And basically, the names of the people, and it can't just be them, the names of the people that appear on your local ballot sheets are quite often people who have no idea their names are even on the ballot sheet and nothing to do with politics. They're just a name in the local community, and they've got away with it.
Well, I think they call that a paper candidate.
Who's not real.
From my political, well,
They're not, no, some of them have been interviewed. Like there's a
they're not
scandal coming out. They
real.
don't even know that their names are being used to
Well,
basically
that's shocking.
as but and it's like all this false counting that's been going on. But the tricks are so dirty.
Shocking. On that note, I listened to a little podcast from Candace Owens where she was talking to Anna Kasparian from the Young Turks. Um, Clear example of a so-called right-wing person talking to a so-called left-wing person, finding common ground, both agreeing that basically we are being manipulated. However, the thought did occur to me yet again that, we have to unite. We do, all of us plebs, because there are way more of us than there are the people who think they're in control. And once we figure out what to do, and this is why walking away is important because it's taking away their perceived
Power.
platform, their platform, because they get money from all of us and they get our names from all of us and they feel like they run things. If we just, this is why I'm walking away. It's not just because of the data, it's because of it's pulling the plug on them thinking they're in charge.
Pulling the
But the
ultimate
thing
job.
is, the thing is that it's always going to be us against them. Again, us against them. There's still a dividing line. So for true oneness, this is where I find it really difficult. We have to find our hearts to go out to the people who we really, really loathe and detest.
But
And
my
that's what I say to people. I say, you keep talking about this person that you really hate. I said, you're just giving them energy. You're just giving them energy, but you can send them enlightenment, hoped for enlightenment. That's the best I can do at this point. I can't send them love, but I can send them that I hope they reach
But these
enlightenment.
people, if you're talking about figurehead people, are just
Mm,
simply figureheads. So I land up feeling quite sorry for them because I think,
yeah.
wow, so many people are using your name in vain. Like what that must be doing. I mean, yes, you chose that position. You wanted that. Some part of your soul was, arrogant enough to imagine that, you would. basically, well, if they've been pushed through a system, which quite often the sausage factory does do that, it's like everybody's picked. It's like the music industry's connections to the military are just absolutely astounding. In fact, I was hearing yesterday about how any body in the music industry that's dyed their hair bleach blonde is a sign that they've had their soul, they've sold their soul to the devil. So all the blonde singers, and if you think about the amount of people that have dyed their hair blonde at one point during their kind of singing career, it's like a very clear sign of switch up. Um, and all of these things are completely conceivable, are real, are happening. June and I aren't mad. We're not making this stuff up. We're not talking nonsense. But you'll hear that on the level that you need to hear that. And what the beauty of spiritual practice is, as June has alluded to, is we go above the swing of the pendulum because actually we're all the same soul family or parts of the same human consciousness on some level. So, holding a great deal of vitriol and hatred for another human being is actually the only person who's going to come off badly is you. It's about kind of, you know, working where you begin and you end. Like June's realized that June is unplugging because for June's sanity and wellness, she doesn't want to be plugged in anymore. And that is absolutely her choice, her sovereign choice. And there are ways I do this too, which I shall not be discussing, that are also my sovereign choice. And I can't discuss them no more than she can go into great detail either, because the system is so like a mousetrap.
Mm,
So ready to get you. And if we talk about it too openly, we will not have the Magic Human show anymore. And I'm more than aware of that. So we have to be really careful. I've been
mm,
silenced many times. Um,
mm.
but yeah, it's the way that you say it. It's not what you say, it's the way that you say
It's
it.
there's another song in there. It's a very musical show today.
It's
Oh,
Hawthorne.
we were
Hawthorne's
singing
happy.
before. Yeah, exactly. Joy. Well, it's midsummer in Chinese medicine, you know. It's the height of the fire. We're in the fire horse, and we're height of the fire season. I just like to go back to the astrology because I listened to Pam, lovely Pam, and she talked about where Sagittarius is in your birth chart, and that's what will be being illuminated for you
Always.
this time.
Absolutely.
The full moon always illuminates. So I
The
went and had a
house. So
look.
everybody needs to look at the house that that is in to
Mm,
establish.
yeah, yeah. Mine is in the 10th house.
So that's your career,
Yeah, or my legacy or my yeah,
your
yeah,
public face.
yeah, yeah. So it's a wee bit scary, but
And also how you wish to be seen.
yeah, I think I
And
feel
how
like I'm taking more control of that again as well.
you
And
are
she also said it was interesting to look at where Algol is in your chart. Now, Algol is a very interesting
a fixed star.
fixed star.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So she did say that. Mine is in my third house.
So today the moon is, hang on, what's going on with this? So you know where your Algol is.
I do. I've looked up most of the things that she talks about. My chart looked very sparse in certain areas, especially my first house. There's nothing in my first house apart from Mars.
So that's energy into being you and
Yeah.
defensive of you.
Yeah. And Mesopotamia. I've got Mesopotamia there as well, which is interesting. I don't know. But she talked about the four watchers, the watcher of the west, east, south, and north. And I think that was really interesting. So it's worth people looking that up. Antares is the Watcher of the West
So
and
sorry,
currently is next to the moon.
what does Algol mean?
Algol, oh, I've forgotten. I'm gonna have to look it
I
up.
knew this. I always forget this stuff
Yeah.
because I don't work with the fixed stars very often, but I had it down somewhere because I was looking at that. Um,
Is it all right to just finish these stars that Watchers of the West
Oh my God,
east,
yeah, you
north,
do.
and south,
Sorry.
because they
Yeah, sorry,
relate to
everyone.
archangels as well. And I need to look into this more. Antares, I don't know which archangel that relates to. I don't know that she said that. But further on, when she was talking Aldebaran, or she calls it Aldebaran, I don't know. How do you pronounce it? Aldebaran? Aldebaran?
Oh, you're talking about Kilal Gibran.
No, Aldebaran, the planet, the star, the Watcher
No,
of the East. It's related to Michael, which is very important, and it's conjunct to the sun right now.
I don't know
Regulus,
this. I don't know all
Regulus,
this stuff, like the extra stuff, because
yeah, I just, because I'm like that. Watcher of the North, Archangel Raphael, and Fomalhaut, Watcher of the South, Archangel Gabriel. Now, what's her name? Heather Ensworth talks about these in her meditation circle, and she invokes them at each of the four directions. So I think that's quite interesting.
it
Mhm.
is. It's something I will look into when I finish
Indeed.
palmistry, hand reading. So
Yeah.
many things. I'm reading a good astrology book at the moment, really good astrology book that is it's an old one. It's by Ingrid Lind, and it was first published in 1951. So
Oh,
I'm enjoying that at the moment, along with my palmistry. There's just so much stuff to learn. I find
never ending.
in that respect, life is absolutely wonderful, recovering all this information and
It
joining
is.
dots and going, oh, that's how that fits with that, and that's why this is going on, and oh, it's so accurate.
Okay,
Right.
Algol is the demon star.
Well, not just the demon. I've got here, because while you were talking about that, it's basically intense feminine power,
There you go.
rage and suppression,
Medusa.
emotions,
Yeah,
destruction leading to transformation, obsessions, extreme, losing one's head emotionally or mentally, raw primal force. So suppressed truth, the power that emerges after betrayal, silence, or persecution. So activated in your chart, emotional intensity, shadow work, confronting fear, powerful awakenings, endings, your refusal to remain silent. It's not a bad one. It's a transformation star, and people think
yeah.
it's a bad one, and it's
No,
not.
it's not. No, but it was called the demon star
And in my
by
chart,
the ancients. But the interesting thing is, it's related to Medusa.
yes, exactly, because it's the wise, untamed female. And
Mm.
my Algol, my Algol is in a transit with my in my fourth house with Algol. So it's in a cycle of return with Algol.
What Algol's without what? Say
So
that
in
again.
my birth chart, Algol is in a certain place. Algol isn't exactly that place in the transits. So I'm having an Algol
Oh,
transition.
oh, wow, wow. Yeah, my Algol is in communication,
Oh,
third
mine's
house of communication and technology.
well, there you go, June. There you go. And that's why you're like, Dad, this transformation. I want to destroy it all.
Take it down.
That's quite funny.
That is really interesting.
Funny.
Yeah, and it's to do with Perseus as well. Algol. It's in that constellation.
I wonder how long it lasts.
Oh, I'm unplugged.
Hang on, I'll find out. You're making me do live.
I'm unplugged. Hang on.
I'm not, don't worry. I've got it up.
No, I mean my battery.
Oh, integration, 1 to 2 weeks, build up 5 to 7 days before, peak intensity the day before and the day of and the day after.
Uh-huh.
It can last 28 days. Hang on. How long? Hang on. No. How long does an algal um
Oh, listen. The flying horse are all in the sky at the same time. The whale and the gorgon, Medusa's winking eye. Oh, it's because it changes its brightness and it confuses people.
this is algal.
Yeah.
Say that again.
It's a variable star, so it's not consistently at one level of brightness. Hmm.
Hmm.
It's a triple star system. It's Algol A, B, and C, where Algol A is regularly eclipsed by B every 2.87 days. Oh, I love how astronomers are so precise. But that's going back to names. That's really fascinating. I find this astronomers divorced themselves from astrologers because they were too woo-hoo and these were all the scientific people. Well, who are the people who keep coming up with all these wacky names for things? It's the astronomers. So clearly they're plugged into something, right?
Well, it was divorced from the psychology of it all as because modern science didn't like it anymore. It stripped out art, maths, the astrology, all of it, just stripped it all, separated everything. Leonardo da Vinci used all of these things, and in fact, Galen did, and
Yeah,
it's
it
great
was
that we
properly
look back on it.
combined. Yeah,
Plato, they had to study all of these things, and they did. It was all part of the same thing.
yeah.
It's a bit like the Greek pantheon of goddesses. By separating out the woman into all these different goddesses, you make her more controllable and easier to dominate. Whereas if you recognize one woman has all those parts within her, pretty scary.
Mm.
To an untethered male, not a male who's standing in his power. Right, I must go because I need to go and get set up for the ceremony. So blessed be all of you. I hope it's
And
been useful. Go and find out where Algol is in your chart. Go and find out where the Sagittarius moon is and notice what's going on for yourself. And if you need anything from either of us, I think you should know by now how to get hold of us. But otherwise, just Google us and you will find us. Well, maybe not June, she's left Google, but you can ask
still,
me.
I can't erase my data. It's still
You will find you. Right.
there.
Blessed
Okay,
be.
bye.
I have to remember how to stop record now, June. Hang
Oh,
on.
yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. How did that? Why do I forget these things just in the short period of time that I'm. Here we go.
Because we talked about